The spaceship hummed softly as it descended through Earth's atmosphere. Inside, a group of alien students, each from different corners of the galaxy, buzzed with anticipation. Their destination was the prestigious Terra Nova Military Academy, renowned for its unconventional approach to warfare. Zin, a tall, blue-skinned student with a curious glint in his eyes, peered out the window. "Do you think the humans will be as impressive as they claim?" he asked, turning to his friend Lura, a fellow student with a slender frame and green, luminescent skin. Lura shrugged, her antennae twitching. "I guess we'll find out soon enough. I've heard their tactics are unique." As they landed, the aliens were greeted by Captain Harris, a seasoned officer with a welcoming smile. "Welcome to Earth. I'm Captain Harris, and I'll be your liaison during your time here. Follow me, and I'll show you to your quarters." The academy was a sprawling campus with advanced facilities and lush greenery. As they walked, Captain Harris pointed out various buildings and training grounds. "You'll find our approach to warfare quite different from what you're used to. We value creativity and adaptability." In their dormitory, the aliens unpacked and settled in. They couldn't help but notice the strange gadgets and posters of past Earth battles on the walls. Zin picked up a small, peculiar device from his desk. "What is this?" A voice from the doorway answered, "That's a whoopee cushion." It was Marcus, their human roommate, grinning broadly. "A classic tool for pranks. You'll get used to our sense of humor." The next day, classes began with an introduction to Earth's history of warfare. Professor Langley, a tall woman with a sharp gaze, addressed the class. "Humans have faced countless challenges and adapted in unexpected ways. Today we'll explore some of those tactics." As the lecture progressed, the alien students exchanged puzzled glances. The strategies discussed were unorthodox and, at times, downright bizarre. From the Trojan horse to guerrilla warfare, human ingenuity seemed boundless. During lunch, Zin, Lura, and their new friends gathered in the cafeteria, sharing their thoughts. "I can't believe they used a wooden horse to infiltrate a city," Zin said, shaking his head in disbelief. "Or that they relied on psychological tricks to outsmart their enemies," Lura added. "It's so different from our structured approaches." Marcus chuckled. "That's just the beginning. Wait until you see what we do in the field. Humans thrive on unpredictability." Their first field exercise took place the following week. The alien students were paired with their human counterparts for a series of tactical drills. As they navigated through mock combat scenarios, the aliens struggled to keep up with the humans' erratic yet effective maneuvers. Zin found himself constantly surprised. "Why did you decide to climb that tree instead of taking cover on the ground?" Marcus grinned. "Because no one expects an ambush from above. Think outside the box, Zin." By the end of the day, the alien students were exhausted but intrigued. They gathered in their dormitory, discussing what they had learned. "I thought I knew everything about strategy," Lura admitted. "But humans, they see things differently." Zin nodded in agreement. "Their unpredictability is their strength. We have a lot to learn here." As they drifted off to sleep, the alien students couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and apprehension. Their time at Terra Nova was going to be an eye-opening experience, one that would challenge everything they knew about warfare. The next week began with a class on unconventional tactics, and the alien students were already bracing themselves for more surprises. Professor Langley stood at the front of the classroom, a sly smile on her face. "Today's lesson, the art of surprise and deception. Humans have a long history of using cunning over brute force." She began with the story of Hannibal, who led his army and war elephants through the Alps to catch the Roman army off guard. The alien students listened in awe and slight confusion. "Why would he risk such a perilous journey?" asked Rax, a student with iridescent scales. Professor Langley smiled. "Because it was the last thing the Romans expected. Sometimes the risk itself is the tactic." Their afternoon field exercise was designed to put these principles into practice. The students were divided into teams with humans and aliens mixed together. Their task: capture the flag from the opposing team using any means necessary. Zin found himself teamed up with Marcus again. As they surveyed the mock battlefield, Marcus laid out a plan. "We need to use misdirection. We'll set up a false trail to make them think we're heading north, then circle around and hit them from the south." Zin, still grappling with the human way of thinking, furrowed his brow. Won't they see through such an obvious trick? That's the beauty of it, Marcus replied with a wink. They'll think it's too simple to be a real plan. As the exercise began, Zin watched in amazement as Marcus executed the strategy flawlessly. They created a series of tracks and disturbances leading north, then silently slipped away to approach the flag from the opposite direction. The opposing team, busy following the false trail, was caught completely off guard. "We did it!" Zin exclaimed as they captured the flag. "That was incredible!" "See? Sometimes the best tactic is the one that seems too obvious," Marcus said, clapping Zin on the back. Meanwhile, Lura's team was having its own share of challenges. Paired with a human named Sarah, they were tasked with defending their flag. Sarah suggested they create a series of decoys to confuse the attackers. Lura was skeptical. "But won't that just spread us too thin?" Sarah shook her head. "Not if we use the environment to our advantage. We'll set traps and false flags in strategic locations. They'll waste time and resources chasing ghosts." As the attackers approached, Lura saw the genius in Sarah's plan. The decoys and traps slowed their progress, causing frustration and disarray. By the time they reached the real flag, Lura and Sarah had fortified their position, easily repelling the attack. After the exercise, the alien students gathered once again to share their experiences. "I never thought deception could be so effective," Rax admitted. "In our tactics, we rely heavily on strength and numbers." "Humans thrive on unpredictability," Marcus said. "It's not about being stronger, it's about being smarter, more adaptable." Professor Langley, who had been observing the exercises, joined the group. "Excellent work, everyone. You've just experienced a core principle of human tactics, the element of surprise. Always keep your opponent guessing." As the day ended, the alien students reflected on what they had learned. Their preconceived notions of warfare were being dismantled, replaced by an appreciation for the subtlety and ingenuity of human strategies. They were beginning to understand that winning a battle often meant thinking like their unpredictable human counterparts. The academy was abuzz with excitement as the students prepared for their first major simulation. The scenario was set in a dense forest, complete with hidden traps, fake enemies, and various objectives scattered throughout. The alien students, now somewhat familiar with human tactics, were eager to put their newfound knowledge to the test. Zin, Lura, and their friends were assigned to a mixed team with Marcus, Sarah, and a few other human students. As they geared up, Marcus briefed them on the plan. "Remember, the key is to stay flexible. We'll be up against not just enemy forces, but the environment itself." As the simulation began, the team moved cautiously through the forest. The first objective was to secure a supply cache hidden deep within enemy territory. They split into smaller groups to cover more ground, using hand signals and whispered commands to communicate. Zin's group, tasked with scouting ahead, encountered their first obstacle: a seemingly deserted clearing. As they stepped into the open, an alarm blared, and holographic enemy soldiers appeared from hidden alcoves. "Ambush!" Zin shouted, diving for cover. Lura's group, hearing the commotion, quickly adapted. Sarah suggested using the underbrush for concealment and launching a flanking maneuver. "They'll be focused on Zin's group. We can catch them off guard." The plan worked. Lura and her team moved silently through the dense foliage, emerging behind the enemy and taking them out with simulated fire. "Clear!" Lura called, signaling to Zin. Regrouping, the team pressed on toward their objective. They encountered several more challenges, each requiring quick thinking and adaptation. At one point, they stumbled upon a field of simulated landmines. Marcus grinned, pulling out a small drone. Time for some remote reconnaissance. Flying the drone low and slow, they identified a safe path through the mines. The teamwork and creative problem-solving left the alien students in awe of their human counterparts' ingenuity. Reaching the supply cache, they found it guarded by a formidable enemy force. Zin suggested a direct assault, but Marcus had a different idea. "We'll use diversion. Create a lot of noise and chaos on one side and slip in from the other." They set off small explosions and noisemakers, drawing the guards away. As the enemies scrambled to respond, Zin, Marcus, and a few others slipped into the clearing, securing the cache with minimal confrontation. The final objective was to extract a simulated injured ally from deep within enemy lines. This time, the team encountered heavy resistance and complex terrain. They used every tactic they had learned: deception, guerrilla maneuvers, and even psychological tricks to outwit their opponents. By the end of the simulation, they were exhausted but victorious. Back at the debriefing room, Professor Langley congratulated them. "You've demonstrated exceptional adaptability and teamwork. These are the hallmarks of successful tactics, especially in unpredictable environments." Zinn, still catching his breath, turned to Marcus. "I see now why your tactics are so effective. It's not just about the plan, but the ability to change it on the fly." Marcus nodded. "Exactly. Warfare is as much about the mind as it is about physical prowess." Laura added, "We've learned so much in just a few weeks. Our own strategies seem so rigid in comparison." Sarah smiled. "That's the beauty of it. Combining our strengths makes us all better. You've taught us a lot, too." As they left the debriefing room, the alien students felt a sense of accomplishment and camaraderie with their human peers. They realized that the true strength of any force lay in its diversity and ability to learn from one another. The semester was drawing to a close, and the Academy was preparing for the grand joint exercise, a final test of everything the students had learned. The exercise would involve both human and alien students working together to complete a series of complex objectives. The excitement and tension were palpable as everyone geared up for the event. Zinn, Laura, and their team, including Marcus and Sarah, gathered for one last briefing. Captain Harris addressed them, his tone serious but encouraging. "Today's exercise will test your ability to integrate all the tactics and strategies you've learned. Remember, adaptability and teamwork are key. Good luck." The simulation was set in a sprawling, multi-terrain environment, featuring urban areas, forests, and open fields. Their mission: to disable a heavily fortified enemy base while rescuing hostages and securing critical supplies. The exercise began with the team infiltrating the urban area. They moved through the narrow streets, using stealth and deception to avoid detection. Zinn led a small group to scout ahead, while Marcus coordinated the movements of the others. As they approached the enemy base, they encountered a series of checkpoints and patrols. Laura suggested using holographic projectors to create decoys and mislead the guards. "It'll give us the element of surprise," she said. The plan worked flawlessly. The guards chased the decoys, allowing the team to slip past unnoticed. They reached the outer perimeter of the base, where the real challenge awaited. The base was protected by high walls, automated turrets, and a maze of security systems. Marcus proposed a multi-pronged approach. "We'll divide into 3 groups. One will create a diversion at the main gate, another will disable the security systems, and the third will breach the walls and rescue the hostages." Zinn's group took on the task of creating the diversion. They set off a series of controlled explosions, drawing the enemy's attention to the main gate. Meanwhile, Laura's team worked on hacking into the security systems, using their advanced alien technology to bypass the defenses. Sarah and Marcus led the breaching team, scaling the walls and moving swiftly through the compound. They encountered fierce resistance, but used their unconventional tactics to outmaneuver and outfight the enemy soldiers. Inside the base, they located the hostages and began the extraction process. Just as they were about to leave, an alarm blared, and reinforcements arrived. It was a tense standoff, but Zinn's diversion had bought them enough time to prepare an escape route. Using a combination of smoke grenades and flashbangs, they disoriented the enemy and made their way to the extraction point. The simulated evac was a chaotic scramble, but the team's coordination and quick thinking saw them through. Back at the academy, the students gathered for the final debriefing. Professor Langley and Captain Harris stood before them, beaming with pride. "You've all performed exceptionally well," Captain Harris said. "Today's exercise was a testament to your hard work and growth." Professor Langley added, "You've learned not just about tactics, but about the importance of diversity in thought and strategy. The collaboration between humans and aliens has been extraordinary." Zinn, Laura, Marcus, and Sarah exchanged smiles. They had come a long way from their first awkward days at the academy. The alien students had learned to embrace the unpredictability and ingenuity of human tactics. while the humans had gained a deeper appreciation for the strengths and perspectives of their alien counterparts. As the ceremony concluded, the students mingled, sharing stories and laughter. They knew that their time at Terra Nova had not only made them better tacticians, but had also forged lasting friendships across species and cultures. Zin raised a glass in a toast. To new friends and new strategies, may we continue to learn from each other and face the future together. The cheers and clinking glasses echoed through the